My name is Ken McCullen. You're probably wondering how did I even get here? The answer is I walked. Anyways, I studied environmental sciences and Spanish, and I spent my year abroad in 2 different places. First, I studied for 5 months in a city called Jaén in southern Spain, in the region of Andalusia. And then my visa application got declined. So then I moved over to Puerto Rico to spend my next 4 months working for a community center called Casa Pueblo. Casa Pueblo was founded in the 80s to fight against these 17 proposed open pit mining plans, which would all be a mile diameter. And that would have been an ecological catastrophe because those were all supposed to be set in the most important watershed for the entire island, which would have then turned the mountains into craters. They essentially lobbied against that and turned a bunch of those sites into protected forests, and that's where I worked, El Bosque Escuela La Limpia Área Más Aldea. I first worked as an environmental educator, going from outside classroom to outside classroom, discussing topics such as deforestation to fast fashion to hydrogeography, to a bunch of groups ranging from local Puerto Rican students from elementary school to university to other international university and tourism groups. I then also worked in the forest with Dr. Alejandro Rios Francesi from the Universidad de Puerto Rico Ponce, studying the local frog populations. Frogs in general are really important as environmental bellwethers because they have really sensitive permeable skin and also are about mid-table on the food chain. So if the frog populations are doing bad, then you know the whole environment's kind of going downhill. So unfortunately, all 17 coqui species in Puerto Rico are in decline due to different threats from habitat fragmentation, competition with invasive species, to especially climate change and disease. These species are also really important as cultural icons to the island, so it's vital that we know what's going on with them. So I would study these audio recordings at night, basically looking at the activity for the 3 species that were present, the common coqui, the grass coqui, and the melodious coqui. And from that, we would look at the most active times throughout the night, which is really important for conservationists to know because they can protect them during these different periods and just kind of focus on their studies during these periods as well. So with the dialect of Puerto Rico, it's super interesting because of the colonial histories that it's been forced to undergo. So it was first colonized by the people from Andalusia in Spain, where I studied. So the accent's actually super similar. They will say, both regions will say stuff like bosque instead of bosque with the aspirational elimination of the S's. You'll hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as they count, plus a bunch of other things. And then with the U.S. history, there's a lot of really prominent effects of English on the language. So there's a lot of Spanglish. In the coastal urban regions, people will speak English and Spanish both fluently, with native speaking accents for both. So with the more rural central part of the mountain, they tend to speak Spanish, and if they do speak English, it's with kind of it's definitely as a clear second language. And so English isn't as strong there, but even then they'll use a lot of different words, such as anyways. Meanwhile, they'll use a lot as filler words. Even if they don't speak English themselves, they'll still use English in their vocabulary very prominently, and this was super interesting to see. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what I learned, plus a lot more on my time abroad. So if you're a fan of frogs and you are not a fan of U.S. imperialism and colonialism, you should come to my IGB Summit November 14th. I'll see you there. That's all I want to do.